Yeah, hi, disclaimer thing, listen before you watch, whatever, blah. Yeah, so just so you know, before you start the video, this is recorded in a really awkward way, a good while ago. Some things are going to be a bit, like, all over the place. There's going to be some, like, for example, we could be talking about one thing and then go straight to another thing because we never finished talking about the other thing because this was really recorded really awkwardly. Like, we were leaving in between talking about one thing and then we came back and we forgot to finish what we were talking about, and then it was just a bit all over the place. So I apologize in advance, but I do think you will find enjoyment out of this if you do listen, and I hope you really enjoy it. And again, sorry about the audio quality. Audio is all over the place as well. It's a bit of a mess of an episode, but I think it's quite a good one, and I think you're really going to like what you hear. So yeah, let's just start the fucking thing.
And you're walking through and the lights are flickering. You see the outside water, but it's dark. The lights are flickering. And then you walk through into this dark room. And then you hear the voices again. But the voices aren't in your head anymore. These are real voices. And it's Gol. And he's back.
But yeah, here we have the two brothers, the Burke brothers, or Burke, or how do you pronounce their name?
Bork, like B-O-R-K.
Burke. Bork. Okay, I'm never going to get that.
Yeah, don't. It's French. Don't try.
Okay, so do you want to introduce yourselves, sir?
Yeah, it's me. That's all I got.
It's him.
It's me.
And him is going to be the...
That's all you gotta know, alright?
We also have Nick here. Nick is Nick. You all know Nick, and you all hate Nick. So, and also we have... I already said whoever's here. So yeah, he has a really interesting theory here, and yeah, I'm just going to let Austin and Brock take it away.
Alright, so this isn't like much of a theory. It's more of like if, like I said, Naughty Dog were to just say, take the wheel, make a game, make it amazing, because we stopped figuring out how to do that with Jak and Daxter a long time ago. So the game would start off in a dropship. You'd be flying over Haven Forest, you'd see other dropships, it'd be like a war zone underneath you. You'd have guards fighting metalheads, just be a big chaotic scene. Then we'd cut to inside the dropship, and we'd have 4 unnamed guards. And they'd be talking, they'd be saying, will Jak show up? They don't know yet. And then Torn comes in on the intercom, and he says, alright, get it together, we gotta go. The metalheads are drawn to something in the forest. We don't know what it quite is yet, but they're drawn to something. And Jak will be there, don't worry. Then they all drop out of the dropship, and then Jak comes in. Jak's flying in, he's doing his thing, being Jak, being a badass, and then he drops into the battlefield. Now, one thing you're going to notice is on this first mission, Jak has just about everything.
He has
all
everything that he left off with from Jak 3.
Except he does not have Dark Jak. Dark Jak has gone away. That was one of the conditions to him being a full member of the city again. He can't have that no more. So he had to clear his mind, he had to meditate in the desert. It's gone. Dark Jak is gone for now. For now, he's gone. So he's back in the city.
I like this so far.
He has all his guns. He has Light Jak. There's new gameplay mechanics. One, you have more precise aiming. One thing that annoyed me with the old Jak and Daxter games was you couldn't really aim.
You just had to
jump
and spin around and shoot.
You just had to jump and spin. It was cheap. I like the idea of being able to aim, almost like Uncharted. You still have your traditional Jak and Daxter laser sight aiming, run and gun kind of stuff, but I feel as though if we add this new layer...
You can aim over the shoulder if you want to.
Yeah, I feel as though adding this new layer to the game would really elevate gameplay, make it feel like a more modern game. So throughout the mission, and the tutorial for how to aim comes in after the intercom, the little floating thing that flies around you, it gets hacked by some unnamed Scottish dude. He has a Scottish voice. He might not actually be Scottish, but he has a Scottish voice.
Like an accent.
Like a very strong Scottish, deep voice. It's a cool voice. We don't know who this character is yet. We'll meet him later, but he teaches Jak how to aim. how to shoot, and how to be more of a precise person. Then he tells him, I need to watch you. You might be useful later. And then he cuts back to Torn. So you're still going through the forest, killing metalheads, and then you finally find out what the metalheads were drawn to. There's this dark eco crystal in the middle of the forest. That's what they were all drawn to. So Jak says, everyone get back. I'm going to handle this. I'm Jak. And then he does something kind of stupid. He destroys it, and all that dark energy flows back right inside of him. And he hears voices in his head. And if you want to think, you can kind of guess who this voice is in his head, but he does hear voices in his head. And then after that, he goes back to his home, wherever that is. I'm guessing it's in the bar, like in a back room somewhere.
Yeah, the Nariatsu.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah,
Hold on. All
right.
I cannot guess what the voice is. Can you please tell me what the voice is? I'm very
The
intrigued.
voice is Gol.
Yes! Yes!
He hears Gol's voice in his head. Now, from now on. And Gol is kind of controlling him whenever he goes into Dark Jak. He doesn't have full control over Dark Jak anymore, and we're going to get into that. So late at night, he wakes up in the middle of the night, he's having these dreams, these visions, and he wakes up, he's sweating, he's freaking out. So then he decides it's a smart idea to probably just take a walk in the city, I'll be fine. So you start walking throughout the city, and we get to see the beautiful nighttime city. It's still like how the old city was in Jak 3, it's still kind of destroyed. But there are no more metalheads inside the walls. Things have gotten more contained, but it's still kind of in a bad shape. So he's walking around, he's looking, and then out of nowhere, he turns into Dark Jak, and you lose all control. Your controller does not work. Jak is acting on his own. And he's just running around, killing people. And eventually the guards have to restrain him. And the guards restrain him, and then he's locked inside of prison. He's taken to the prison, he's stuck behind bars.
And I also know there's a bunch of metalheads in all the cells in the prison.
The prison has gone from more or less of a prison to now a metalhead testing thing to figure out the most effective ways of killing them, best ways of doing things along those lines. So what's going on now is Jak's locked in, he's going crazy in the walls, a guard walks past, he kind of has a moment where he goes half Dark Jak, half Jak. He's like, come on, you can let me out, I'm just Jak. And the guard says, sorry, I'm not allowed to, Torn's orders. He goes crazy again. So then out of nowhere, he starts hearing voices in his head again. He starts hearing Gol, and then he gains the strength and he tears open the bars. And now he's a prison escape.
So now you have like a Jak 2 style prison escape, except you're Dark Jak the whole time.
Dark Jak. And we learn new Dark Jak mechanics. Now Dark Jak can sprint on all fours. He can run really fast on all fours. He can wall run on all fours. Very feral, very animalistic. It gives Dark Jak that animal vibe. All Dark Jak powers are coming back, but we get them throughout the game as it progresses. This is sort of the Dark Jak tutorial, and it's being led by voices in your head, that voice being Gol.
Yeah, it's like press X twice in the air, then press square to do a dark bomb. But it's like Gol telling you, so it's really cool.
And this whole time, Daxter isn't with Jak. He's not with Jak the whole time. Daxter's just chilling on his own. But then he gets word that Jak's escaping the prison, and he has to do something about it. So he gets inside one of those big precursor moths, and we're going to get into what happens next. But he gets inside one of those big things, and he goes to the exit of the prison. And they meet up at the perfect time. Perfect timing to meet up. Jak jumps on his shoulder, and then Jak's contained inside of what appears to be like a red eco shield ball type thing. And he's just banging.
Like in Jak 3, whenever they find out, at the
whenever Vigor gets trapped.
Shields.
Yeah, it's one of those, and he's banging on the walls, going crazy, trying to get out. And Daxter, we then move to a new part of the game where Daxter is controlling one of these big precursor moths, trying to get Jak outside the city.
So you play the precursor moth at the end of
while Hellcats and stuff are chasing you, and you're just shooting out rockets, having your laser sword, slashing, running, trying to get Jak out the city.
And a nice parallel is now Jak is on Daxter's shoulder, whereas before it was Daxter on Jak's shoulder. So it's a nice parallel right here.
So then Jak is flung out of the city by Daxter. And then he calms down a little bit once he's outside the walls. And here we get to see the beautiful PS4 graphics.
Daxter is.
Yeah, we get to see the
gone mad. Fuck you, bye.
Yeah, we get to see the beautiful outside the Haven City walls. All lights up, and it's all naturally lit on the PS4.
And it looks gorgeous.
Now, we're adding a new feature. We're kind of combining every element from every Jak game. So outside the walls, it's very similar to a Jak 1 style game where it's free roam. You can run around. You have all this area. It connects everything. Like all the outside the walls places are connected now. You can travel seamlessly between them on foot if you choose. And there are new ways of transportation outside the walls, which I'm going to get into. But it's beautiful. It's breathtaking. It's It's amazing. And it's actually pretty cool because outside the walls, it's still the Jak 1 world. It's all interconnected. So you can go to familiar locations. They look slightly different, similar to how the Dead Town, how that's the Jak 1 Sandover village. They look slightly different. Like, they have overgrown things around them. Some of them are infested with dark eco. It's crazy. But it's just, at the same time, it's all amazing. Now, you can choose to explore all those areas. You don't have quite the equipment that you need yet
to survive out there.
Yeah, because all your guns and weapons were taken away once you were put in jail. So that's how you start the game fresh again. That's how you have to go through the progression of getting your equipment again. Now Jak goes back into the city. He's a wanted man, so we have kind of a stealth thing where you have to navigate to Freedom HQ and go to Torn.
The ghetto dock area from Jak 2 is brought back, and as Dark Jak, you can like crawl underneath like the bridge.
You're not Dark Jak though at this point, but you're just normal Jak. You have to navigate to Freedom HQ. Mm-hmm. So now once you get there stealthily without being picked up by the guards, you then talk to Torn. You're like, Torn, I'm back. I'm good. I'm calm. You don't have to worry about me. Everything's going to be okay. It's good. So Torn says, all right, well, you got to prove yourself somehow. So go to the pumping station and you're going to have to do some random job. I don't know what the job is quite yet. I haven't come to that far, but he sends him on a mission. So he goes to the mission and he sees everything's fine at the pumping station. He's like, Torn, everything's good at the pumping station. And Torn's like, all right, well, just head back. So you know the area where Sig's gun jams in Jak 2?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, he gets ambushed by guards over there.
Oh,
He's ambushed. And now Jak is... all this rage is building up inside of him. He goes Dark Jak. And now it's an infinite wave of Crimson Guards. You go till you die.
Did and Torn also betray him?
Yes.
Yes, Torn does betray him. And the whole time he's coming up on the intercom, he's like, sorry, Jak, I had to do what I had to do. It's for the good of the city. You have to understand. But Jak's freaking out. He's not listening. He's crazy. He's going animalistic. He's killing guards. But eventually, and as the things go on, you see more and more guards and more military types. Because there are more guards in this game. There are sniper guards. There are night ops guards. There's desert guards. And there are Titan suits. Now, Titan suits have been weaponized in this game. They have miniguns on their hands. You can customize them fully in the co-op campaign. They've become weapons. They're also still used for construction whenever we rebuild the city, which we're going to get into. But they're really a weapon of the city now, as well as a tool. The Juggernaut suits you can kind of picture what a Juggernaut Crimson Guard suit would look like. And then we just have like all black suits for night. We have like ghillie snipers. We have desert looking people, but they don't come in till the Spargus missions. That's where they've occupied in the desert, because they're really, in this game, there are really like three factions. You could say four if you count the metalheads, but there are really three. The Marauders, the Spargus people, and Haven. Those are really the three factions. Haven and Spargus kind of have a crude alliance where it's like, we don't like each other, but we need to both be together because we're both fighting a common enemy. The Marauders are kind of just doing their own thing, and the metalheads are just being metalheads. So now that we've got...
And note that in this mission, the pumping station, Daxter isn't with you. Torn told him to just stay back at base.
Exactly.
So, because Torn...
So now now we've gotten to a point in the game where once Jak is knocked out and incapacitated, he wakes up almost on a stretcher, and he's being wheeled into the old metalhead nest, like the Jak 2 metalhead nest.
From a dropship.
Mm-hmm. Now, this is where Torn feels Jak will be safest. He feels like Jak will be at his... Like, this is the best place. Now, they can't really walk around in here too much without having a gas mask and a full-on suit on because the place is radiated with dark eco. And because of this radiation, we have a new breed of metalheads called metalhead mutations, which are metalheads that are influenced by dark eco. They're bigger, they're tougher, they're more animalistic.
They're faster.
It's crazy
stuff.
They're faster.
They like jump off.
And they come into interaction with normal metalheads. No one likes each other on this island. We also come into contact with the Baron's old dark eco experiments. Now, these experiments were not perfect. Jak was the perfect experiment, and there are 6 of them, because symbolically 6 is an imperfect number, but 7 is a perfect number. And Jak's the 7th, so he's perfect, while as the rest of them are imperfect. It's very symbolic there. And these other experiments are much bigger than Jak. They're almost like they've been mutated. They've almost formed a society on this island where they hunt together, they live together, and they want to bring Jak kind of into this society. They're like, hey, you can join us, but first you got to fight with us. And then we get into the first boss fight of the game. It's a Dark Jak boss fight against another Dark Jak-esque creature. And they fight together, and this is how you get your dark powers. Every time you kill one of these people, you get a new dark power. So at this point in the game, you don't have Dark Bomb. Well, this dude has Dark Bomb. So after you kill him, you learn dark bomb. And now Jak is kind of on the island with these dudes, but he kind of sneaks off on his own. He goes do his own thing, and then we find something from Jak 1, which is pretty cool. We find the silo of Dark Eco from Jak 1 on this island. And Jak has to scale this with his new Dark Jak abilities. He scales it, and then we get to the top. And up top, we see the 4 Light Eco cannon things, that produce that Light Eco.
And there's a reason. There's a reason as to why they activated in Jak 1. I'm
going to go off on a little side note here and explain to you what's inside the Citadel, or not the Citadel, the silo. So what I've almost imagined is the silo is kind of what there's piping networks underneath it, and it's what brings the Dark Eco into pools all around the world.
The land,
the world, everywhere.
Yeah.
And if they were small enough, they could probably travel through those pipes. The pipes are about roughly double the size of a person, maybe. But that's not the reason why they have these things. Inside there's a creature. Something that they're trying to keep out, that Gol knew about, and he wanted to release upon the world and bring upon the apocalypse in Jak 1. But we didn't know this. It is a giant, almost massive Dark Eco that looks like a Dark Jak type person, but a giant Dark Jak person. And at the end of the game, there will be a boss fight against him. Just throwing that out there. But this is...
Spoilers.
Yeah, I know. This probably won't happen.
It's a really awesome boss fight.
It really is. And we learn more about who this dark being is. We'll get to that.
There's a huge twist at the end of the game regarding this dark creature, but we'll get into that.
And Gol is also in there. Now, during Gol's time in there, his eons in there, because keep in mind, Jak 1 to now, it's been years and years and years. So Gol is just chilling in there, and he's conversing with this dude almost telepathically, if you will. Gol's learning Maya's dead. She couldn't handle it. She couldn't handle all the Dark Eco, but Gol somehow could. But his body is slowly decaying in there. So the dark creature enlightens him. He says, there are these networks. I want you to go and follow the networks, and then you will find what you are looking for. So Gol flows through the networks. And the Citadel, I keep on calling it that. The silo is closed at this point. Jak restarts the warp gate. He jumps through the warp gate on top of the silo, and he ends up in the monk temple in the desert from there. This is how we get to the desert portion of the game. So now we're in the Light Eco temple, and we learn about Jak's trying to cleanse himself. He's like, dude, I'm going crazy. You guys got to help me. He's talking to the big oracle thing in the middle of the room. And the oracle tells him he gives some proverb, light, blah, 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 this, blah, 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 that. Here's your light power. And he gives him the ability, now he can become Light Jak again. Because during this whole time, he couldn't be Light Jak because Dark Jak was so powerful at this point, it was blocking it all. And now we have Light Jak back, we have Dark Jak, but we don't have any guns yet.
And don't you get your first power here?
You do get your first power here, which your first power for Light Jak, I almost want to change it up because I feel as though the most useful power was healing yourself, and the most useless power was flight. The only reason why you used it was for glitches. So we're changing up flight, we're making it more as if it's a hang glider, less than a flap kind of like a gay flutter. We're making it more of a hang glide. So now it's actually kind of useful in this game. And you don't just use it when the game tells you to use it. You can actually use it in gameplay and use it in combat and fly overhead with your guns and shoot things. You can actually make it useful.
And use it to get out of bounds and...
I mean, there probably still going to be those people who use it to get out of bounds. But in this game, there really is no boundary because we have the new
outside the walls.
Of course, if you're saying like break the game, then that's gonna happen. That's bound to happen. I mean it's a Jak game. What do you expect? So now we have our Light Jak powers. So then we make our way back to Spargus, where we find that we have a new leader. It's not Sig, because Sig is working with the city as well. And what we find is it's what I've almost imagined is a character that you really don't like. Like, you're not supposed to like this dude.
And you don't like him simply for the fact...
You don't like him... No, it's not the Scottish guy. You don't like him because he's not Deimos. You really just, like... You don't know what it is about him, but you just hate him. Like, he's that guy that whenever you look at him, you're just like, I don't like you. I don't know why, I just don't. And then as the game goes on, he reveals himself to be more of a douchebag, and you're really not supposed to like him. He has that royalty feel where he's annoying. No one likes him. But the reason why he's the ruler is because the only way that Haven could be allied with Spargus is if they have someone who's not super aggressive, and that was their best choice according to Sig. But no one likes the guy. So now we move on to doing odd jobs, which mostly involve us taking out marauders. And the Marauders in this game have expanded. They have a proper king now. He's a big dude. They have a proper king, and he actually is the most like fleshed out Marauder. He actually has a voice. He can talk to Jak. There are a few boss fights against him because I love my boss fights. Yeah, so that's basically it. Spargus is really unimportant in this game. It's more of just a place that you go and you have to help out every now and again. It's really unimportant in this game because I didn't really like the desert in Jak 3, but we've made it a more likable desert. We've added more things to it. We've made the Marauders actually have weight in this game. We've made them a whole thing. There are Marauders not only in the desert, but they're also in the snow now as well, which we're going to get to the snow in a bit. But Jak leaves So after Jak's sick of doing these odd jobs for this dude he doesn't even like, he leaves. And then we go and explore more outside the walls. And then we get to this snowy area up in the mountains by the pumping station. It's a snowy area. And there's almost like a log cabin built thing there. And it's kind of like the Kung Fu Panda training area, if you will. Imagine that. Just hear me out on this. And the main monk in there, because it's almost like a monk society, the main dude in there, have you seen Star Wars Rogue One?
No.
Okay, well, how can I explain this? There's a blind dude in Star Wars Rogue One, right? And he almost relies, he doesn't quite have the Force, but he can like almost rely on it to have sight. Well, this dude's very similar to that. He's a blind monk, and he uses eco really to feel his way around and fight and keep himself alive. And this is where we get into Jak's new eco powers. So similar to Jak 1, how he had eco powers come back, but you can only really use them outside the walls. And they're not really super useful, but we have it. The one thing I think the Lost Frontier did good, Lost Frontier did something good, but the one thing it did good was the eco powers that you can get. Like when you spun and you had like the blue eco come around you whenever you punch with the red eco. You don't know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. That's the one thing that I think they did good out of everything. Out of the cesspool that game was. That was the one thing they did right. So we're taking that feature and we're bringing it back almost into a martial art where these people are training to be able to use eco in fighting. And we also get a new weapon, if you can call it that. It's these grappling hooks, like wrist-mounted grappling hooks that Jak has. So it's almost like a Spider-Man type deal where he can shoot at walls and grapple. You can't use them in the city or else guards will attack you. But he has these new grappling hooks that he can grapple around rocks on outside the walls and fly around. It's legit. If you can imagine that in gameplay. I don't know if y'all can really imagine that in gameplay or not.
I can't imagine that in a Jak game, per se. Like, the flying in that sounds really, 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 like... sounds a lot better than it was with the gay flutter, as you quoted earlier. Yeah. But a grappling hook and having the ability to fly, those two things, like, one of them seems, like, unnecessary in comparison to the other.
Well, the grappling hook is more for Jak to wall run, because we get a new ability that lets him, like, grab onto walls and lock on. It's more for platforming across the city and throughout the desert, across the vast mountains that they have, where you can't really fly up them. You more have to climb them. It's designed to make Jak less reliant on Dark Jak. Yeah, so while Jak's going out doing his training montage, if you can call it that, in the snow, he hears an explosion and then he looks outside the walls and there's a big fireball coming from the city. So he tells the monks, he's like, I have to go. And they're like, be careful, if you go too soon, you might fall back into your old dark ways. And he's like, I don't care enough, blah, 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 one-liner. And then he goes light Jak and he flies back into the city. And in the port, there is a giant metal head kraken that you have to fight. In the co-op campaign at this point, you did most of the boss fighting. Like, you've weakened it enough, you did most of the boss fights inside the port. Because in the co-op, this is actually one of the boss fights, but for Jak, he just comes in and he sees it. There are Titan suits being deployed, shooting at it, Hellcats flying around, bombing it, shooting it. Your co-op crew is running around killing it. There are troops on the ground. But then Jak flies in and he just gets on top of its head. Then he goes Dark Jak on top of it.
And he
burrows
into
its head and then does a dark bomb inside of it. And you just see purple
guts
innards
and
fly all over. It paints
paints the whole port purple.
The water's all contaminated. Yo.
At this point, how much game have you played by this point? Like, how many hours in are you right now?
I'd say this is about, at this point, you're about maybe 1/5. I could guess you could say. Somewhere in that line. There's still a lot of game. It's a very in-depth game. I like this. I did most of the storytelling work, but So now Jack's like, he kind of gets out of the mess that he's in, and he's like, so am I, like, you see Torn come up to him, he's like, so, am I back in? And then it cuts.
It's similar like Dead Town Jack too, where it says like, yeah, I guess you guys are in. Similar to that.
Yeah, he's like, so am I back in? He's back into the city. He's back in the city now. So now he's officially a member of the city, and now they're in Freedom HQ, and they're discussing what to do next. Like, if a metalhead could attack us like that, then what do we do? Do we strengthen the walls? What do we do? Where are they coming from? What is this? And they're all blabbering. And then you hear that Scottish voice again, and he says, I think I know what's wrong. And then they all turn and look at the door, and what we have is we have this sniper character. Now, he's unlike any other character you've ever seen in a Jak game. So, his backstory is rich. He was around the city before Jak was there, so he knows what happened. There's a lot of backstory with him, which I can get into, but that's a whole another campaign that he has all dedicated
to his own.
It's not very long. It's not very long, no, but it's dedicated to his own story. There's a lot of content in this game because I want it to last long. So he basically says, you guys need to upgrade your city because it quite frankly sucks. The walls are broken, everything's destroyed. So how about you fix your city before it gets wrecked? Or do you want a repeat of what happened last time, Torn? That's because Torn and the sniper actually know each other from back in the guard. But no one else knows him. So Torn kind of like has these like memories, and he's like, we're doing what he says. And Ashen's like, how are you just going to let this dude come in and run the show? And he's like, trust me, he knows what he's talking about. He got me out of the guard a long time ago.
Oh.
And we don't get into that. Or he doesn't get into that right there, but in the campaign it actually does get into how he got Torn out of the guard, how he inspired Torn
to leave the guard and form the underground and stuff.
He's a very cool, in-depth character. Great character.
And he's the reason why a lot of things in the Jak and Daxter series happened. He's a big reason behind a lot of it. He's the reason why Jak got saved when he was in the Wasteland. Not so much the beacon. He more contacted Deimos and said, hey, this dude could be useful. They did some talking about Dark Eco. I don't know. Go check it out. Follow that beacon. Stuff like that. He really initiated a lot of the events that happened, but he's more in the background. This is the first time that we actually see him. And his campaign is all flashback storytelling of what his story is. But that's a whole nother topic. We got to stay focused. So the next thing that happens is we get our havens, the next thing that happens is we go exploring outside the walls. We go back to the monk temple. We learn a few more eco powers. Then we come back and the city got a huge makeover. It's revamped. You know, there's
the old
Titan suits doing construction work and stuff.
Let me give you an example. You know the old barrier gates, like how you said you need red clearance?
Yeah.
Those are now set up. They have turrets on the walls pointed at you, and they have two Titan suits set up guard to where if you pass it, which you can pass them now in this game, it doesn't say you need red clearance, but if you pass it, the guards will start chasing you. There's also a new wanted level system. There's different colors for different levels. Each level, more and more things come after you. And the only way to get to the max level of wanted level is if you go rogue or dark Jak in the city. So you don't want to go dark Jak in the city, because then the guards will chase after you and you cannot lose that wanted level. It stays on you. And each wanted level, more and more things start coming after you, like death bots will come after you. Tanks will start rolling through the city and coming after you.
So how do you lower your wanted level?
Well, there's new ways that you can hide and do stealthy things. Like I said, there's a new whole stealth concept in the game where you can hide from the guards and things like that. You can get outside the walls and you can lose the wanted level and then come back in. But little low wanted levels, it's very easy to lose those. But the higher up ones, it gets more and more difficult as you go. So it's not like a joke like how it was in Jak 2. Even more of a joke in Jak 3.
Why do I have this feeling? I have this feeling. You remember those old the things used to give like skull gems to the question mark thing?
Yeah.
Like remember why do I have a feeling that there's going to be one of those in Haven City where you have to turn into Dark Jak and kill as many as possible?
That could be a challenge. I didn't think into the sub challenges. I felt it was more like people would elaborate on those and come up with those ideas for themselves. I'm just laying out the framework of the story and what I think it should be.
Mm-hmm. I like it. So far, you've left little room for error. I say.
Go ahead.
It's like it's a continuation type of deal. It's more.
Exactly.
It's more like it doesn't want to focus too much on what happened in the past, but rather bring in new ideas and then incorporate them in the past while bringing the story forward.
Exactly. That's kind of what I was going for, because I didn't want to focus on how Jak could be more, if he even is. I don't think he should be, but I didn't want to focus on that because that would almost make it too much in the past and you wouldn't gain anything new. I want something to be gained from this game.
I see.
Yeah. So now,
before you continue, is this like is this set up to be a finale to the Jak series? I know you said it's before Jak X, but is this like set up to be?
Well,
Jak X is the finale of the Jak and Daxter games. Now, what I was thinking is if this game sold well enough, I'd almost want to have a crossover game called Jak and Ratchet, where the Metalheads have invaded in the Ratchet and Clank galaxy, and Jak has to go and help him out and take him out, and it's a co-op game. That's kind of what I was envisioning if this game would be existed and good enough.
Don't know about that one.
that's a whole nother ballgame.
That's a whole nother thing that we
just came up with it like a few weeks ago.
Just came up, yeah. That was like something off the top of my head. I was like, oh, what if we did that? But so now we have more outside the city exploration, inside the city missions, learning the new layout of the city. That's really what we're getting, because the city's gotten a huge makeover. It looks modern, like really futuristic-y modern city. It's nice. It's really like it feels like this is a PS4 Jak game.
One thing before we continue, is the core gameplay like the main, like just solid Jak 1, like normal?
Oh yeah, it still feels just like a Jak and Daxter game.
Okay, thank you. That's the most important thing.
Yeah, it still feels like a Jak game. Right. It just feels new.
What I've been getting out of this, Keith, is from all the things you've said, core Jak gameplay, right? With a bunch of new layers added on. Like if you go into like Dark Jak, it's not going to feel like the old Dark Jak necessarily, but a more revamped style.
Exactly. Like for instance, new Dark Bomb. You know that if you have a PS4 controller, take it out and hold it.
Okay.
Now,
I got a big question. This is something that's kind of been in the back of my mind since you brought it up.
All right.
Me personally, I agree with you. The shooting mechanics in Jak and Daxter are not the best. Definitely.
I loved them.
They're all right.
I know you. They're all right, okay, but they're definitely not the best. But what I'm trying to figure out is where the hell on the controller are you going to put an aim button with all the other buttons being used?
Yeah.
L1, R1, aim, shoot.
Or to do both?
No, you aim with L1, you shoot with R1.
Well, wait, you also have to crouch.
But then, how do you roll?
Yeah,
how do you roll and crouch?
That's a good question. I forgot.
Okay,
but I still think you should be able to aim, but we'll find...
Are the
benefit though? You've at least 4 extra buttons with the touchpad, so you can implement that somehow.
Exactly. The touchpad is used for using Dark Jak powers. I was about to get into that. Whenever you want to do a Dark Bomb, you swipe down, and it feels more like you're in control of Jak as you do it, because no games really incorporate the touchpad. Now, if that's too much, you can still do the jump square if you would like. Doesn't bother me. I just thought that was a cool little addition, because I've always wanted to use the touchpad in games.
I figured it out. The aim button. Right. I think I figured it out. Okay,
right,
so correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, L3.
Yeah.
L3?
Yeah, L3 enters a workaround.
Yeah.
That could work.
That could work.
That would keep everybody happy. Happy.
And it still could, that could work. I like that. I'm holding my controller, and I like that. This is why I like talking to other people about this stuff who actually have knowledge.
Everyone just holding their PS4 controllers at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. We're all looking at it.
Yeah, I'm holding mine right now.
I say everyone watching this as well.
If you're not, take out your PS4 controller right now. If you're on Xbox, then...
Get a PS4.
Yeah.
Then why are you on Xbox to begin with?
All right. So back to the gameplay. Or not the gameplay, back to the story.
We're coming up on that one boss fight that's really awesome.
There's a boss fight that's coming in. So now it's more exploring the outside the walls again, fighting the Marauder King. And then after that Marauder King boss fight, you kind of get this radio that comes to you, and it's all static, and you don't know what it means. So it's all static, and you don't know what it is. And then you see a little icon on the outside the walls, and it has almost you know what the Lost Precursor City looks like? Almost that kind of an icon on the map. And you have to go to the old Lost Precursor City. Let's move into this Lost Precursor City. So we go there, and you know that area where...
I'm about to come give you the charger for your computer.
I'm going to sprout. It's fine. It's fine.
Okay.
Dude. So now, you know that area where the power cell is sitting on that little area? Whenever you activate it, the Dark Eco rises up?
Yeah.
Well, you go to that, and now all the Dark Eco is drained. And Jack's kind of wondering, and you see the pipelines that I was talking about, and it drained all the Dark Eco and brought it elsewhere. And Jack's like, wonder what's down there. And he's talking to Daxter, and Daxter's like, no way, we're not going down there. And Jack's like, he doesn't even respond. He just jumps straight down there. So now you're down there, and there's a... Yeah, exactly. And now there's a door. And this door kind of is off-putting. You get that creepy vibe, like something's off. Like, it's not quite right. And you're walking through this door, and it's more like technological. It's not like precursor technology, more of like a gray machine metal kind of vibe.
Like steampunk, sort of.
And you're walking through, and the lights are flickering. You see the outside water, but it's dark. The lights are flickering. And then you walk through into this dark room. And then you hear the voices again. But the voices aren't in your head anymore. These are real voices. And it's Gol. And he's back. Except Gol is weak. He can't stand on his own. He can't fight in his form. He's like missing. His arms are all decayed up. His leg is completely missing.
You can like see his rib cage a little bit.
So what he has is he almost, you know the crab metalheads? Like the big ones with the guns that shoot? He's in sort of a mech suit, almost similar to that. And the boss fight is very intense. You're in a big glass dome, running around. There are rockets being shot at you. You have to wall run as Dark Jack. You have to use your grappling hooks underneath, climb around, dodge, kill Gol.
And the image I want to put in your mind is the Jak 2 core boss fight music during this boss fight. I want to put that into your head.
Also, I want to put in almost like an Arrow boss fight type feel, except it's Gol. And it feels like it feels real. Because for you as Jak, you almost forgot about Gol, but Gol never forgot about you. So he's really like vengeance. But Gol isn't just fighting for Gol anymore. He's fighting for a higher power. He has a cause now that he's fighting for. And it's that creature that I was talking about inside the silos. He almost serves that. That's almost like his master at this point. So you get into this amazing, intense boss fight. The music is swelling, and then you finish off Gol. And Gol kind of looks at Jak. Jak looks at Gol, and he points his gun at him, and Gol's like, just basically gives out a one-liner, how you're not killing me today, our work isn't done yet. And then he goes down one of those pipelines again, and he's just out of there. Peace out, gone. And I'm trying to find out where exactly his lab would be that he goes to, but he goes somewhere where he can develop a new suit and kind of like almost not cryogenically, what's the word I'm looking for? But he sits in like one of those tanks. You know what I'm talking. He sits in one of those. Kind of to heal. Kind of to heal.
I'm bringing the charger.
Right. So we've gotten to the point. I almost want to say this is like the point of the game where the game really, like from this point on, it moves along. So remember that dream that Jak had? Well, after this Gol boss fight, he goes to Odin, and she translates his dream. So she's asking what he dreamed about, and then we play through Jak's dream. So in Jak's dream, he's back in the Jak 1 world, as it was, except he's Dark Jak. And he's in the point in the world where the metalheads are coming through the portal, and it's just anarchy. And you're going through just killing everything in the world, just decimating it. And you're making your way to the silo. And once you get on top of the silo in the dream, you hear voices. And then from on top of the silo, you do a dark bomb. And then it shows from...
Jak make the original Jak war cries when he does the dark bomb. Hiya!
And then it shows from like the outside perspective, and it just shows like the ring of Dark Eco flow out. And then it shows a person look up to the silo, and he sees this wave of energy. That person is Mar. I'm getting to how Mar fits in. So the way I see Mar is Mar should be inspired by this event to want to learn how to channel Eco. And then he passes that down through his legacy all the way to where we get to Jak. And there's all kinds of other events in there. They slowly build up the city. One Mar in particular builds the city. His son is Deimos, and he had 2 other sons. We're going to get into all that. I came up with all this off the top of my head.
I was talking about the dream where like you play as Mar, and like you fight Core.
Oh yeah, that's the next dream. So, another dream sequence you have is Jak is playing as Mar, like the Mar that we just discussed. You know, the one that saw Jak do the dark bomb. And he is in a fight with Metal Core. And Metal Core escapes through the portal to go to Haven City, and he tells him, like, you will not defeat me, blah, 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 but he's really injured and weak. So that's why he has to take the form of an old man once he gets to Haven City. Not just to stay in disguise, because he's weak. He leaves wounded, but he still becomes an old man that's half distraction, half I'm kind of weak right now and I don't have the energy to really destroy the city, so I'm just gonna chill, wait, let a crocodile piss on my leg.
And unfortunately, you're never going to hear the end of that story, because it was at this moment when Nick decided it would be much better to just stop everything, get everyone just to stop everything around him, so he could go and play Ratchet and Clank. Moral of the story: get your fucking obligations straight. Okay, so enough throwing Nick under the bus. So I'm going to cut here to an awkward point, because there's like no way to really cut this properly without people being like, what the fuck just happened? So I just need to put this in here. So we're going to cut in progress here to while we're talking about something else. I'm going to try and make it sound like as much sense as possible, so please forgive this really weird cut.
I've been jumping around on this storyline, but the middle part isn't really that important. It's the last end that's really good. So the Gol boss fight, you go underground to the citadels with Gol. You have another boss fight with Gol before this, but that's really unimportant. It's just to show that he's getting more powerful and you learn more about how he's serving someone and not just himself anymore.
So it's kind of like Jak 2, where you fight the Baron 3 times.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you fight him your second time. The third time, before the fight, you go to the what is it called? You know, in Jak 3, when you're riding that little thing that shoots out the green lasers underneath the city?
The thing in the catacombs.
Yeah, the catacombs. You're under there, and Gol is flying straight up, and he's like facing you, and you're light Jak with your wings spread, and you're flying through the thing. You don't have a rider, and you're just going through, and you're going through space and time as this is happening. And you end up back in the past to the time before Jak goes through the rift with Samos. From Jak, you know how Jak 2 ends when they go through the rift? Mm-hmm. You're before that point in time. So you're at the point when Jak is about to come through.
Like young Jak.
Right.
Like the 3-year-old Jak.
3-year-old Jak is about to come through. And you're fighting Gol on top of the silo. And you can use all your abilities, your guns, your light eco, dark eco if you choose. But you can use everything. And this is the final Gol boss fight. Gol is at his full potential. He's back. He's the old Gol that we remember him, except now he's actually Gol. He throws like dark eco at you. It's one of those classic, feels like a classic Jak boss fight. And then at the end, Gol's at his weakest point. And he's like, you're too late. I'm already about to do this. And he pulls a dark eco crystal out from underneath his coat. And he's like, once I like summon him, you're done for. And he's like, or I have another option for you. You can take this crystal and become the most powerful thing in the universe. And then Jak kind of denies it. You don't give a choice. He denies the offer. But there's a whole side campaign after that could be.
It's not very long. It's like in the.
It's not very long. It's Jak playing as Dark Jak throughout the whole campaign, and he's going crazy. He's killing everyone that you know and love. It's just a side thing. It's not canon, but that's a side thing.
You just get in the secrets menu with some orbs. It's nothing huge.
Yeah, it's nothing huge or anything. It's just a whole side campaign like that. But then after that, Gol's like, "Fine, you don't want to agree with me? Then I'll just summon him." So he summons him, and then Jak's like, "It won't work." You know, because the light eco, he's like, I've disabled that, blah, blah, blah. Then out from the pit, imagine if giant Dark Jak, right? Take his model, but instead of having facial features or anything, it's just a massive dark eco, like the stuff in, like that. That's what this final boss looks like. That's the thing inside the pit. And Gol is all happy. He's like, yes, my master's here. We're gonna wreck you, Jak, right? And then he looks up and now he's getting kind of nervous because this thing from the pit is not like responding to him, and Gol's like freaking out. He's like, dude, come on, help me kill Jak. He's like, I helped you, you helped me kill Jak. And then as he's saying, like, do something, you just see his fist come down as he kills Gol right on the spot. Because now Gol is useless to him. Gol's done what he had to do.
Gol's expendable to him now.
He was expendable, exactly. So now he doesn't need Gol, so he just kills him right there on the spot. And it's kind of a tragic ending to see how Gol goes out like that. Because you don't expect that to happen, but it does. And it's fitting for his character, where he just wants more and more power, but eventually that's what causes his demise in the end. So now we have our boss fight, where giant Dark Jak is fighting another giant Dark Jak, occasionally switch to light Jak. And the whole time he's trying to tear open that door that you need the 101 power cells. He's trying to tear that open and be waiting at the warp gate for Jak and Samos to come through so he can just kill them. That's all he wants to do. He wants to stop this from happening, and he knows how to do it. And Jak has to stop that from happening.
So basically, like, so you just fight him. Yeah, it's like just Giant Dark Jak versus Giant Dark Jak, and he reveals his weakness because he tries to open up the huge power cell door, and while his back is turned to you, you attack him. And
occasionally you chop off his limbs, and whenever his limb falls off, they become these concrete
It turns to stone.
Yeah, it turns to stone. Now, I'll let you take a guess as to what this means right now. I'm going to tell you what it means later.
I have no fucking idea.
Okay, so this dark being is the original OG Mar. And I'm going to explain all the Mar things in this. So, it starts off with Mar. He sees Dark Jak do his Dark Bomb. He gets inspired. He learns how to channel Eco. He has a son. His son also learns how to channel Eco. His son learns more Light Eco. His father, the OG Mar, learns Dark Eco. They have a battle on top of the silo. However, the OG Mar loses and he's banished in the silo, and then they set up the defensive system, and then from there, his son comes down triumphant. He's like, look, we need to build a city to protect us from the metalheads. So they start building their city, and as time progresses, that city becomes what we know as Dead Town. And now time progresses. We have more and more Mars come through, but they're not important. The next most important Mar is the Mar that's the father to Deimos. And he tells his dad when he's like 5, he's like, I'm going to build a bigger and better city. And his dad's like, yeah, right. We don't need a bigger and better city. We have what we have now. And he's like, I'll show you. So he starts making up these blueprints, and he designs what we have as the city now. He makes that city. And in his old 100-year age, he designed a tomb for himself, and he has the precursor stone, and he says, I'm going to go into my tomb, and I'm going to die. So, Deimos, you're my oldest son. I leave you in charge.
And that's where I'm gonna cut it. That's it. That's the theory. I hope you enjoyed it. The reason I'm talking to you right now, though, is firstly to sign you out, because there is no real ending to the recording, and tell you that I have cut out around 2 hours of content. And in those 2 hours is stuff that isn't really relevant to the story, but there is little side stories and little extra like DLC. I think they had planned. I don't know if it was DLC or not. I think it was just like going to be extra modes or extra side stories on it. And there's so much extra gameplay stuff. Like there's multiplayer, there's co-op, there's a whole abundance of shit that I had to cut out because it just didn't fit in well and it didn't flow well. And as I said, it was recorded all over the place, so I had to cut it out and mainly just make this episode all about the story. But if anyone is interested, and I mean anyone at all, because this, like, I'm gonna upload this sometime anyway, but if people want it, like, right now, what I can do is I can get all these little parts and get these parts I cut out, just put it in, make a deleted scenes video, and so everyone can know, like, what the Borks had in mind for the rest of their theory, and what they, like, wanted the full game, like, their vision for the entire game. And yeah, it's going to be all over the place like this one was. It's going to be even more all over the place. It's just going to be a lot of cut stuff, like, with no context. But if you really want it, I can literally just splice it all together, put a video playing over, and upload it to you. And yeah, if you want it, then just tell me in the comments, and that'll be that. But yeah, thanks very much for watching. I was really impressed with this theory. I think they've done a fantastic job. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Be sure to leave feedback and stuff, and yeah, we'll see you for the next theory.